want you to notice the third angel's message, once again, with which we began our lecture. Revelation 14 and verses 9 and 10. We've noticed that the 7 last plagues are the outpouring of God's wrath, and this wrath is found in cups. And it's the totality of God's wrath. But now I want you to notice that the wicked have to do something with that wine that's in the cups. It says there in Revelation 14 verse 9, "Then a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also," now notice an added idea here, "he himself shall also" what? "Drink of the wine of the wrath of God." So the cup contains what? It contains wine, and the wine is God's what? It's God's wrath, and the wicked must drink it according to this. Remember these concepts, because we're going to come back to them. Verse 10, "He himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength," without mixture, in other words, full strength, "into the cup of his indignation." So are you catching the picture here? What does the cup contain? The wrath of God. And the wrath of God has to be what by the wicked? The wicked have to drink the wrath of God. Now I must tell you that the wrath of God does not come to an end until the wicked are destroyed after the millennium. In other words, the 7 bowls, the 7 plagues, are a fullness of the manifestation of the wrath of God, but that wrath is finally terminated with the destruction of the wicked after the millennium. And you say, how do we know that? Because in the third angel's message, it speaks about fire and brimstone falling from God out of heaven. And that is the final manifestation of the wrath of God. So the plagues, we might say, are the first installment of the fullness of the wrath of God, and it culminates eventually in the destruction of the wicked by fire after the millennium. Because the third angel's message, as we read, speaks about fire and brimstone falling from heaven upon the wicked. Now let's go to Psalm 11 and verse 6. Psalm 11 and verse 6, I want to show you that there's a connection between the cup and the pouring out of fire. And by the way, we're going to discuss this more fully in our next lecture. We're going to talk about the fire and brimstone and burning forever and ever, etc., which has been greatly misunderstood by the Christian world. Psalm 11 and verse 6. Notice this. "Upon the wicked he will" what? "Rain coals, fire, and" what? "And brimstone, and a burning wind shall be the portion of their cup." So let me ask you, does the cup contain fire and brimstone? It most certainly does. Now, we must understand then that the 7 last plagues are the fullness of the manifestation of the wrath of God, which means without any mixture of mercy, but the last stage of the outpouring of the wrath of God takes place after the 1,000 years when fire and brimstone destroys the wicked. That is the final manifestation of the wrath of God. Notice Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 22. Deuteronomy 32 and verse 22. In Scripture, the wrath of God is linked with fire. And, even today we use metaphors. We use expressions that connect wrath with warmth or with something that's hot. For example, we say, that guy's got a hot temper.